I have to call it to order, sorry.
I don't know. Is this on? That's on? Okay. So good evening, everybody. It is now 7:02, and we're going to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll all join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now it is my great pleasure to swear in our new Board of Selectmen. So if I can ask all of you to please rise and raise your right hands. And Tara, Steve, and Bob, do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as members of the Board of Selectmen to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay, the first item of business is to elect a chairman pro tempore. That is for, in case I am incapacitated or can't be here, who would replace me? I would make a motion that the selectmen nominate Robert Belden as chairman pro tempore. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion? Having no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? I don't think you can vote.
I'm going to abstain.
So Bob has now been appointed our chairman pro tempore. Second, Robert's Rules of Orders. I make a motion that the selectmen adopt Robert's Rules of Standard Parliamentary Procedures. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Bob seconds that. Do I have any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries 3-0. On the ex officio assignments, we have not had a chance to really had a discussion, so I would make a motion that we table this until we know which board members are going to be liaisons to which of the, all the different boards. I think we want to have a discussion on that, which we've not been able to have yet, so that we will do that at our January meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay? All in favor of tabling that?
Aye.
Aye.
Agreed? Aye? Okay. If you, in here, we have, the next motion is that we adopt the 2024 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule. It's in our packages. It would be, for the most part, the first Monday of every month, except if there's a holiday or Ramadan or something like that. Our next meeting, I think, is on the 8th of January. Do I have a second to approve that?
I'll second that.
Need a second? The adoption of the 2024 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I would now like to make a motion to add a couple of items to our agenda that we weren't able to get into the agenda as it was published. One would be the appointment of a town attorney, and the second is regarding the capital committee. Do I have a motion to add both of those to the agenda?
I'll move that.
Bob makes that motion. Any discussion?
Need a second.
Oh, sorry, can I have a second? Would you second that?
I will.
Tara seconds that. All those in favor of adding, or any discussion on that?
Where do you want to put them on the agenda?
I would start with them almost immediately.
Okay.
Okay? That would, they would be.
What was the second one?
The second one is the capital committee reconstituting it. Their term has expired, so we want to re-up them because a new budget's coming
Yeah,
up.
you guys discussed that at your last meeting as well.
Yeah,
so-
we did.
right, So,
We did. So we have a motion to add those two items. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I would like to move to make the first motion that we appoint Tom Beecher as the town attorney, effective immediately, so that he can work with us. This will be pending. The town is required by new policy to go to bid for any services we undertake that are over $20,000. So the town will be going to bid, but we do need a town attorney right now. Tom has proven to be an effective town attorney in the past, and I'm sure he will be in the future. Do I have a second to appoint Tom Beecher as the town attorney?
Second.
Bob seconds. Any further discussion?
So you're going to bid?
Yeah, Tom will be the interim town attorney. We're going to bid for all legal services which is required by town policy.
Did you say interim in the motion?
Yeah, I did say
No,
interim,
you didn't
I?
actually.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I would like to move to amend the motion to
Say
be
interim.
clear that it's an interim
Right.
appointment.
Interim appointment, pending the results of that process we go through to go out to bid. So we accept that amendment?
Oh, you
Has
have to
the
have a second.
town-
Is he second on the exception of the
No, no,
amendment?
I made the motion, there has to be a second, Lisa.
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Has the town ever gone out to bid for town attorney before?
No, it has not.
Yes, it has.
We put in a policy, I don't remember.
No, no,
well,
we did go out to
In
bid.
my memory, I don't remember going out.
Oh, we did, I'm gonna say it was a couple, yeah, multiple times we've been out to bid.
Okay.
So,
So I learned
and
something.
so it's, and I think the last time we went out to bid, it's gotta be 10 years ago at least, so. But it was when I was on the Board of Finance. so,
Okay. So it's a good thing to do.
So no, it's a really important thing to do.
It
In
is.
my book, is
So
that,
the charter calls for appointment of a professional service, right? So it doesn't speak to going out to bid for those professionals. There's certain ones that are indicated that don't have to go out to, it doesn't say don't have to go out to bid for, but it's not clear where it specifies you must go out to bid.
Yeah, I agree with you, but we have the option. We have a policy that's been put in place that any service we are going to spend over $20,000 a year on needs to go out to bid, and so we feel that we should follow that process. Although in the past, the appointment of a town attorney has been under the purview of the first selectman's office, I think, although it has gone out to bid. I think it's just good to follow town policy across the board. Do you have anything you'd like
look,
to add?
I'm a believer that some of the professional services we do, you don't have to bid it every time.
Right.
But it's good practice to periodically bid it, right? It
Right.
keeps everybody straight in the thing. We do it with auditors, right? We should be doing it with auditors more often. I know we bid auditors when I was on the Board of Finance, and I know it was bid
We
again.
did again.
When Ernie Nepomuceno was the chair in the early 2000s. So, and I think legal counsel should periodically, not every time, but periodically do a bidding process because it's good discipline. So I would support this.
Yeah, we did it about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We went out to bid again
On
for
auditors, and in
Right.
case of legal counsel,
Legal counsel,
it's a little less often, I think, but
Yeah.
it's periodically. I think it's a good thing to do because
Yeah.
I think it gives the Board of Selectmen more
Sure.
input to what the marketplace is
I
about.
agree.
So-
And, you know, I think we get good service for the money that we're spending, but it never hurts to go out, see the level of playing field, see what's out there, what services can be provided to the town, and it's hard to do every year, because you don't want to be changing attorneys every year.
No, you don't.
Or auditors every year, but,
So if we go out to bid and you have 3 candidates,
Mhm.
the policy also speaks to low bidder.
no, lowest qualified bidder.
Right,
There's a big difference between lowest bidder and lowest qualified bidder.
lowest qualified bidder.
We're lowest qualified bidder, so then we would make a determination as to which firm has provided services to the town or made an offer to the town that we believe is the best match for the town.
So who's the we?
Who's we? The Board of Selectmen. I would bring that to the Board of Selectmen,
Okay.
right, for review and approval. Any further questions or issues?
I don't have any issues with this.
Okay, so we have a motion before us to appoint Tom Beecher as the interim town attorney, effective immediately. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3-0. Tom, would you join us at the front table? Thank you very much for working with us. I think we should move right to the capital committee too.
Sure.
Item. I make a motion that we reconstitute the capital committee, or recharge it, what's the word we want to use? Reestablish? Reestablish. Reestablish the capital planning committee that we've had in the past with the following members: Brianna Ruocco, a Republican; Ryan Rudenis, a Republican; Ricky Ramos, a Democrat; an appointee to be made by the Board of Finance, They have not yet met for the first time this year, so we're asking the chairman to work with his committee and appoint someone from that, and also an appointee from the Board of Ed with the same caveat. They haven't met yet. They have a new board. They have to constitute that board and then make an appointment. And we would make that for a period of 12/4/23 to 6/3/25, with the intention that the Board of Selectmen will make this a permanent committee like the RBAC. They've done incredibly good work in the past. They've done a great planning job. They've been a great help in the budget process, thanks to all of the boards that support them and work on it. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
So are these, Brianna, Ryan, and Ricky are no longer on any boards. I know that when you originally constituted the capital committee, you had representatives. They were all, well, Ryan wasn't, but Ryan came later. I don't think he was on the first year of the capital committee. Was he?
Right. I don't think
Anyway.
Brianna, was Brianna on the capital committee? It was Glenn, wasn't it?
That was Brianna.
It was Brianna?
It was Brianna.
So we have a lot of experience.
Ricky was on it as a board member and then was on it as a non-board member. Now
Right.
it's kind of rotating to those, all three of them are not
So
not
that's
current
the
board members.
question, like, should these individuals be vetted through the town committees then? Are we kind of opening up?
You can do that. Anyone who wants to sit on a board here in town, as you know, can go through their local committee, the Democratic Town Committee or the Republican Town Committee, or they have the opportunity to go directly to the First Selectman's office or First Selectman's office. It's their choice. If people choose not to go through their local committee, they can. They can come directly to the First Selectman's office. And that's what happened in this case. And I think all three of them are extremely qualified, capable, hardworking people. I don't think we could get three better people who have the experience level that these guys have in capital planning. They've done a great job.
So what is the term?
12/4/23 to 6/3/25, with the intention, as I said, that we want to constitute this as a permanent committee. They've done a great job, and we want them to take up the 10-year capital plan again, too, right? And get that really, it's been there, it's sitting there. We need to sharpen it, we need to extend it, and do all of those good things. And we want people to have enough time on the committee to do that.
So you're moving away from a one-year obligation?
Yes, yes.
I would also observe, since I served on that committee last year, as both of you know,
Right.
it's a very busy time in December and January to go through all of those reviews. It's many evenings of work, and I actually thought about whether we ought to wait and let the town committees go through it. We just don't have time. We have to get a group going.
Yeah.
Or the Board of Finance will, and the Board of Selectmen will start meeting in late January and through March, right, won't have the benefit of the good work that committee can do. So
Yeah.
I think we ought to just move ahead and do this and then get it to a more standardized thing with terms and, on the regular February schedule that people then can be appointed for 2 or 4 years, and we could decide what that would look like, but
Yeah.
I think that will be a much stronger place. This last year, we just ran out of time, given what went on with an appointment that ended in August.
Right, and we originally started it in August because we wanted each of the departments to come to us in July, early August, give us their capital needs, hand it to the capital planning committee, so they have 2 to 3 months to really look at every department's request, and then be able to come to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance with well thought out, given the time to look at these things and come to us with their recommendations.
And it worked really well last year, and
Yeah.
it was a tight schedule though, because we were on a similar time frame. I think we got appointed in November.
Yeah,
Or
it was,
it was
that's
either
true.
late October or the November Board of Selectmen meeting,
So,
and even then it was a tight schedule. So I just think we have to get on with it.
yeah, and we're a little tight right now because we want them to have the time to be able to do the reviews.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So
Any-
I generally would love to get the input from the town committee. So I think they would all support these individuals anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I would
They've done a
be
good
fine
job
with
on
that.
this committee.
I'd be fine with that. Any further discussion?
I forgot what the motion was. Did it have the terms in it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, the terms from 12/4/23 to 6/3/25. So it's those three people, Brianna, Ryan, and Ricky Reynolds, a Board of Finance appointee to be determined, and a Board of Ed appointee to be determined by those two boards. Any further questions or issues? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0. We want to thank those people for stepping forward. Thank all three of them. And I'm sure the Board of Finance will give us somebody who's very, very capable.
Board of Ed too.
And the Board of Ed too, I'm sure they will.
I'll keep reminding you on Board of Ed things.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so now we move back to members present. It's Tara Carr, Selectwoman, Steve Dunn, First Selectman, and Bob Belden, Selectman. Time for public comment. Does anybody have public comment?
Yes, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Jaffe, 21 White Pine Drive. Congratulations to all on the recent election. What I'm here to talk about tonight is traffic safety on the intersection of Sunset Hill and Cedar Hill. Those of us who live in that area know for years there is a real issue, and it's really coming up Cedar Hill where the entrance to the golf course is. Sunset Hill, the turns on Sunset Hill are such that visibility is horrendous. There have been a number of accidents over the year, fortunately none serious, but there's even been a school bus accident there. Before I brought this to the Board of Selectmen or the town, I wanted to get some feedback from the people in the community, and there is a Facebook site called Viva Farms, which is what the community was named before. That was the farm there that was before it was developed. And the response from the citizens in the area was incredibly strong and powerful. 33 responses, virtually 100%, all having the same, feeling that this is something that needs to be looked at.
Right.
So rather than write a proposal for what I think needs to be done, what I wanted to do was bring to you the concerns of the people in this area. And so what I've done is I've printed out for you, and I will send you this digitally tomorrow, but what I've done is printed out the comments of everybody so you can see, not just in my words, but see the words of the people in this area about what the concern is. I don't know exactly what the solution is. I just know there's a real issue that we hope the town can look at and come to a solution on. And if there's a process going forward, feel free to contact me. I would certainly be happy to be involved. So I thank you for the
very much.
time.
I mean, this is something I think we should look at. Right? Get the police involved, get Public Works involved, see what we can do. If you remember, we had a similar issue on 133 up to South and North, where we used to have an accident once a month,
Right.
and it was not a small accident. People were getting T-boned left and right.
Right.
And we were able to make some changes that have helped a lot and have lowered the number of accidents. So we'll definitely look at it.
Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
They answered my questions, I'm good.
Yes. Who are you, young man?
Young man. I love that. Well, compared to you guys.
Everything is relative.
Yeah, everything is
You do know
relative.
that.
Matt Grimes, 11 Orchard Street. Welcome to the new Board of Selectmen. So we're starting a new term. Just a clarification, the bidding ordinance in the town of Brookfield, I believe professional services do not have to go out to bid. It is a good practice to go out to bid and stuff like this, but because it is a professional service, you don't need to follow the bidding ordinance to a T as to selecting the lowest bidder. So that should be clarified as you go through this process, and I think it's a very important process. I'm here to talk about an issue that I spoke about in October of 2021, and it's the same one today. I do hope new constituted Board of Selectmen, one of the first ordinances that this board proposes is a permanent 9/11 Memorial Commission, similar to what New Milford has, similar to what a lot of towns in our area have. I just feel like Brookfield is long overdue in having its own permanent commission that involves first responders, that involves people that this issue is important to honor those that we lost on 9/11/01. It's a very, very important issue. I'll, as Mr. Jaffe's doing, I'm going to copy him a little bit and send this to you digitally tomorrow. I do have a copy of New Milford's ordinance here. It's a very broad ordinance, but I'd like to see by the time some 9 months from now that the next anniversary of 9/11 comes, that Brookfield has a commission in place that survives any administration, that survives over time, and every year puts on something that the town sponsors for 9/11, not the student council, not the historical society, not the fire department, but it's a whole community event. Because as I think all of us know, I mean, we're a generation removed now from 9/11, but I do believe that this is something that we need to be concentrating on. So here's a copy of the Milford's ordinance, and I'll send it to you
Thank you
tomorrow.
very much. We'll make copies of this and get it to everybody. Appreciate it, Matt. Is anybody else have public comment? Going once? Okay. We'll move on. Presentations, we don't have any this month. Monthly agenda announcements, Stephen. Coffee with the Community is going to be held on we're not going to do it in December because the 2 Saturdays wrap around Christmas. I think people are going to be really busy. So we decided that we're going to have Coffee with the Community on January 27th, and we're hopefully going to have it at the cafe. We still have to talk to the cafe, make sure they're okay with us coming there, and we'll continue to do that. There are vacancies still. I know Tara has said this every month on the Arts Commission, Conservation Commission, Economic Development, Energy Advisory Board, Inland Wetlands, Parks and Rec, Planning, WPCA, the Youth Commission, and the ZBA. I know we need ZBA on there
We need
too, right?
alternates, yeah.
So ZBA. We ask any residents that would like to help and serve the town, you can either go through your local committee, the Democratic Committee, or the Republican Town Committee, or come directly to First Selectman's office if you want to serve. Let us know your interest, and then we will take it up in January if we get any applicants in December. We're really looking for people to help, so please put your hand up. Come help the town we all love.
Is the Parks and Rec vacancy new?
I'm sorry?
Is the Parks and Rec vacancy new?
Cynthia, yeah, it is, right?
Who was it?
Robert.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We do have correspondence from a number of different people. I won't go through that. Anybody can look at that. Next item on our agenda is the monthly financial update. Marcia, would you give us an update on
Sure.
finance?
The revenues and expenditures are both there. That we're trending well on on many of the line items. We have a few concerns that we've talked about every month, but we found some more money for transfers. We'll be asking for transfers in next month's meeting. That we have budget meetings next week with each of the department heads, and that usually helps us figure out a little bit more of where we stand and where we may need a little extra and where we may have a little extra. That we'll also go through the capital budgets, but right now there's nothing that is of very large dollar amounts in the capital that I'm aware of that we have any issues with.
Okay, good.
And revenues are trending well. We'll know more on the tax revenue after February 1st.
Great. Any issues that you think we should be worried about at this point in time?
We're doing great on interest income. However, I haven't put that down as a surplus. And the reason is arbitrage, that this is the first time in 20 years that we're in an arbitrage environment where we may have put bonds out and then are earning more money on the bonds than we're paying on them. there's some exceptions to that rule where we're allowed to do that, and one is that we spend the money in 24 months. So when we took out the school bonds for the second half, we took out 18 months of bonds to try and, protect ourselves. And then the school was delayed a year. So those bonds are earning interest, but we may have to pay it back to the state, to the IRS, sorry. And there's a consultant out there that can help us with that. And it's quite a complicated process. The bond attorney is too expensive for that process, but there is a firm that does this. I think we can do it for a small amount of money, maybe $2,500. I was a little disappointed that, that it was delayed and now we may owe interest income back. And he said, you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. You always want to have interest that you're paying back, because if you don't, then you're not maximizing your income. And so I feel a lot better now. That, that way that you've earned everything you can. But the only problem is that we don't want to say, oh, we've got excess income on on interest and spend it and then owe it back. It's a 5-year look back, so we don't have to pay it back right away. But there would be good information to know. We have to wait till NBC is ready to tell us a good estimate of how much we are under budget, and but we want to do it after that and before we start getting into next year's budget.
Yeah, now for the layperson, in the 60s and 70s, towns have really good credit ratings usually, so they can borrow at very low rates, say 3%, and interest rates were 6 and 7%. They didn't have any projects in mind, but what they did is they borrowed money at 3% and then invested it at 6%. And the federal government came in and said, no, you're not allowed to do that. So they created these rules to make sure that towns only borrowed when they needed to borrow and did it properly. And so that's why we're facing this. We borrowed for the schools at an average about 2.65%, and the interest rate we're earning now is over 5, right?
5.5.
5.5. So in a sense, that's a good problem. We don't want to give any money away, but it's better to be that way than the opposite, if you think about it. Okay. Our next item, we got a financial update. Any questions or concerns for Marcia?
Just two things that were kind of lingering are the license plate program. And
Right.
With the assessor going to be out, I don't know what kind of follow-up that's going to need. And then Congresswoman Hayes' office was supposed to provide an update on where we are with the grant for the radios. It was at $963,000 a couple of months ago.
Do you have any?
I have
update on
not
that?
gotten anything from Attorney Hayes' office or forwarded from anyone else on the grant revenue. And I have the number, I think it was 50 cars that, but I haven't had it quantified for that yet.
Okay. So we will have to get, good questions, but we'll have to get more detail on that.
I don't know
I've been
where
in
they are.
office for 20 minutes, so you have to work with me a little bit. We'll get that information and we'll have it certainly for the next meeting. And I'm really interested to see where we end up with a license plate program. That would be a good one.
So Marcia, just going back to the prior thing we talked about, is the capital submission in good enough shape for the capital committee to start gnawing on it? They have all the information is in from all the departments?
I believe I have to finish summarizing it, but I could get it done tomorrow.
Okay, so it's in good shape then.
I think there's 2 departments I'm missing, but.
Okay, signature cards. I would make a motion that the selectmen approve a change in the signatures on various accounts with the change in the administration, and to authorize the first selectman and treasurer to sign the necessary resolutions and signature cards required to transfer the authorized signature on the accounts from Ms. Tara Carr and/or John Lucas to Stephen C. Dunn and/or John Lucas. This includes Union Savings Bank, Newtown Savings Bank, Empower Retirement, Charles Schwab, Wells Fargo, and Elon Financial. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Tara seconds that. Any discussion?
None?
No?
Is there anything else that we might be missing here, like the bond stuff or anything like that, Marcia?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
the bond stuff is done automatically. When the bond is done, that we assign US Bank to oversee it, and we pay them up front to do that. But there's no signatures there because we just give them money. They never give us back money.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. On the steep grant for Town Hall and the lot SIP grant, Bob and I have discussed this. We want to gather more information on this before we go to the Board of Finance with it. We need to provide more detail and more in-depth study. We know there is a time constraint on both of these, but we want to look at this very, very carefully before we start appropriating money that is going to, one is for the pickleboard courts. We're not saying no at all. We just want to get more information, put together the overall financial plan for it. We need to talk to Greg Dembowski in detail. And for the Streetscapes Phase 7 grant particularly, there are two documentations that we're looking at here. One is the tax incentive, and that tax incentive we have to send to the Board of Finance, Economic Development, and the Planning Commission before the Board of Selectmen can act on it. We're going to be sending that to those three boards this week with the overall review of what the incentive means in terms of dollars and cents, what makes sense and why we think we should be moving forward with that tax incentive. We have every intention of doing that, but we have to follow the process.
That tax incentive is completely exclusive from Streetscape Phase 7.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm sorry. I hate to. The developer of 731 Federal Road LLC is entering into a tax incentive with the town.
That's
They have
item
also
D.
agreed, wait a minute, they've also agreed to pay $109,000 towards the design and engineering of the streetscape across from their project.
Two
They-
separate
wait a minute,
issues.
Can I finish? They would not want to give us $109,000 if they don't get the tax incentive. These
Did
two
you read
projects.
the contract? We already voted on it.
Yeah, but these two projects are tied.
No, they're not. I mean, maybe in his mind, so it's a tit for tat? Is that what he's saying? If you don't give us a tax incentive, we're gonna renege on the contract for the, Phase 7?
No,
They're unrelated.
No, they are related. The,
The application, item D, for the tax assessment deferral is something completely different from item C.
no, it's not. If we do not give 731 Federal Road the tax incentive that we had previously discussed 4 years ago and agreed with them that we would give them a tax incentive, in return they would give us 36 parking spaces in their development dedicated to municipal parking.
Okay, which item are you talking about? 'Cause
Item
you started with
item
B,
C.
then you started with C, and you tied in the tax incentive, so what are we
Item
talking about?
C, the $109,000 is tied into the tax incentive.
No.
It is. If we do not
No, it's
agree
not.
to give 731 a tax incentive, they will be disinclined to give us $109,000 for the design and engineering of the streetscape across from their project. So in my mind, they are attached.
We
But
already
even
voted
if
on
they-
that $109,000, Steve. Did you read the contract? It's codified. We signed it. Item C.
We did not
the
approve the
109
appropriation for it.
No, I know, but their commitment of the design engineering, the 109, we already
Right.
voted on.
Right. But we
you're
did not
saying
approve
now-
the appropriation. So what I think we should do is take a step back, understand, we still have to go to the Board of Finance with all, at the Board of Finance, EDC, and Planning, with all of the documentation that should have been done months ago, to go to those boards for their input on the tax incentive.
What should have been done months ago?
In order to get a tax incentive approved, you have to go to Planning, EDC, and the Board of Finance.
They came to you in 2021,
Right.
so
They
years
never made
ago.
final application,
That's right, and it's still
right?
incomplete.
They have now
because-
made application, And we are going to move forward and follow the charter and send it to those boards for their review and comments to us.
So let me
Once-
ask a question. The Lot 6 Streetscape Phase 7, I just heard you say you voted on that
Yes, we
once.
did.
Right.
What did we, what
Only
did
the
you, what,
$109,000.
and that's signed in an agreement?
Mhm.
I haven't seen that agreement.
We may have done that, I don't remember that, but we'll check that.
But that was to go to a town meeting?
For the remainder, because we have to allocate, we have to appropriate the 1.7,
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
right?
So, but then we must have made a motion to take it to town meeting on what date?
We did, and it went to the Board of Finance last month and
Board of Finance
They-
declined it?
tabled it.
Oh, it was
Okay.
tabled. Still open with the Board of Finance?
Board of Finance tabled it, okay.
So we don't need to take any further motion on this then?
No.
If it's a tabled
this
item
point.
at the Board of Finance?
It sounds to me
Correct.
like it needs some clarification, because in Steve's mind, Phase 7 is contingent on Scalzo and Company getting a tax abatement for 731 Federal Road. That's what I heard you say.
I'm sorry, say that again?
From what I understood you just saying, Steve, in your mind, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking for some clarity here. What you're saying is if they don't get their tax incentive approved, they're going to renege on their contribution of the $109,000.
I don't know that for a fact, but if I was 731 Federal Road, I would certainly consider that. Now, if we have a signed agreement with that they will give us $109,000 outside of the tax incentive agreement, great, we're fine, we're good.
If that parking that for this Phase 7 is along Federal Road, so it's not to be confused with the parking
Right,
that they're looking to give us
Right.
at 731 Federal.
correct. And your point is, I'm sorry?
I just want to make it clear that the parking, if Phase 7 were to come to fruition, there would be additional parking along Route 7.
Yes, there would.
That
Like
is not
12 spaces,
what
I
we're
think?
talking about with this tax incentive. If you read the application here, the next item, it says 36 spaces, I believe it's, and there's map, it's on the property, on
Right.
their property.
Right.
But they didn't monetize that value, like what benefit is it to the town of Brookfield to have
Oh.
36 parking?
That's a good question, and this is the discussion that we're gonna have with the Board of Finance and the other boards as to why this makes sense. The town does need municipal parking. I think everyone agrees we don't have enough municipal parking in the Four Corners area. If we had to buy a piece of property that would hold 36 parking spaces, pave it, maintain it, stripe it, and do all those things and take it off the tax rolls, right? The analysis we did 4 or 5 years ago was that the cost of buying the property, paving it, clearing it, doing all those things, was pretty much equivalent to the tax incentive that 731 Federal Road would be giving us. So, the advantage is, if 731 Federal Road does it, it stays on the tax rolls, they pave it, they maintain it, they plow it, they do everything, and they continue to pay taxes on that property.
But they're putting parking there anyway because they have
Yeah, they
how
are,
many
but they
units and a
don't have
grocery
it
store?
dedicated. They could say to us, people walking, we see people parking in our lot and going on the Still River Greenway. We're gonna tow you. Their parking lot is for their businesses and their apartments, not for municipal parking. So this guarantees that people can park there and go on the Still River Greenway or walk up the street. I think it's a big advantage to the town to have that. We need more municipal parking. So the overall goal was, and at the time when we did this, was they give us 36 spaces. If we had to duplicate 36 spaces somewhere else in the Four Corners, it would cost at least what the incentive we're giving 731. It would be at least that expensive. That seems to me to be a fair trade-off, because we don't take a piece of property off the tax rolls, and we don't maintain it, and they pay taxes.
I'd like to see that business case.
Yeah,
I would like to see those numbers.
yeah,
There's nothing in the application.
There's nothing in the
right now
application that lays
has
that
the
out.
numbers.
I
No.
agree with you.
no,
I
there's
just, and
nothing.
until so to me, let me just kind of look at these two items. The lot zip item, the $109,000. The Board of Selectmen approved that already, they've moved it onto the Board of Finance. Board of Finance hasn't disapproved it, so there's no reason for it to bump back here. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's not needed, so I think your thought of not tabling it, we ought to skip that one.
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
just-
think you're right.
It's not, shouldn't be on the agenda.
Right.
The 731, now that we have
Well,
the,
I'm sorry, Bob, that, it did have to be on the agenda because we had already set a date in our last meeting for a special town meeting.
Yeah.
But it didn't get through the Board of Finance, so that town
And-
meeting never
but
happened.
we can't set a date until the Board of Finance has now acted on it.
Right.
I don't
Well,
think.
you can reset a new date,
Do we want to?
which we should
Do we
do.
want to recommend a new date pending the Board of Finance review?
Sure, we can do that. I would
That's
say,
that's a better motion. I wouldn't do
That's
it.
a
I'd
better
let the Board
motion.
of Finance do their deliberation and then quickly set a new date.
yeah, we can do
They
that
have
because
to vote on the date.
if the Board of Finance,
Hmm?
Don't they have to agree to the date?
the Board of Finance doesn't have to agree with the date. The Board of Selectmen sets the date of the special town meeting.
Yeah, I don't know. They have to approve the.
They have to,
They have to approve the appropriation. They don't
yes, they have to
the
approve
date.
the appropriation. But once they approve it, we can set any date we want, which I would suggest we do it at our next Board of Selectmen meeting.
Board of
you know.
Finance doesn't set dates.
No,
Board of
they don't
Board of
set
Finance
dates.
sets dollar
Right.
amounts, approves appropriations.
So I agree with Bob. We table these two until the Board of Finance has had a chance to look at it. We've had a discussion with them on both subjects, and then we move forward from there to make
And
sure.
I would agree
we're
with
open and
Tara that they're
transparent.
different items. If
Yeah.
they're going on different rates and paces, they might be softly related, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not hard related.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I think
agree.
that you running the 731, the item D, through the proper commissions who need to pre-review it before
Right.
we take action on it makes sense to me.
Right, well, we don't have a choice, we have to, right?
Has the town meeting date been set for
It,
For item C,
item C?
it was and it did not happen.
So
Yeah,
that
we-
date's already gone by?
yes.
Yeah, we had it set for the 28th,
28th.
right, in November,
Never mind.
but the Board of Finance took no action. So we have to re-up it, right, and reschedule that date. And I think we can table these and wait to the Board of Finance, and then if we have to,
Will you forward the current application to the proper
Oh, yeah.
boards for their review?
yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll
okay.
do that tomorrow. With a justification.
For item
that-
D.
With a description of what we're talking about, what the numbers would be, and why we think it's a reasonable thing
And
to
do you know what the questions that caused the Board of Finance to table it
At this
are?
point in time, I do not. I have not spoken to the Board of Finance about this subject.
Okay, you should understand that before their
Well,
next
I
meeting.
don't think this item D made it to the Board of Finance.
No, C,
No,
I was
no,
on
no.
C.
Oh.
I'm jumping around, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's on me. On C, they tabled it, they obviously tabled it for a reason.
Yeah.
So you ought to probably make sure that we're being responsive to any questions that they've
Yeah.
asked of us.
So I will talk to the chair.
And then on D, I think it has to be routed through the proper channels.
Yes.
So-
That's correct. To those
And I'd
three
like to
boards.
see the business case
For D.
on the parking item versus the,
Yep.
what our cost for putting those spaces would have been at,
Yep.
versus the tax abatement.
That makes a
I
lot
think
of
that
sense.
becomes the fundamental discussion.
Yep, I agree.
And not for nothing, but the ordinance does say that the assessor, the building official, the chair of the Board of Finance, and the chair of the EDC are supposed to weigh in and provide guidance back to the first selectman in order to bring it back to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
Correct.
The assessor is going to be out, so, it's a $15.5 million investment. I think they have 9 million in. If you're looking at, 25, 40, 60, 80 over that however many years, that's a lot of money. And that's gonna come off the backs of the taxpayers for 36 parking spots. I think this is something that really needs to be scrutinized and determine what is in it for Brookfield.
Well, that's why we're gonna put together the business case for it and give it to the Board of Finance and I'll talk to the chair in the next couple days, and then we'll move forward. At the time we originally did this, it was a very good deal for the town, in my opinion. Now, people can have different opinions about that.
At the time you originally did what?
The original analysis we did was it was more expensive for us to buy property, put 36 spaces on it, take it off the tax rolls, pave it, maintain it forever, rather than having the developer give us 36 spaces and continue to pay taxes, continue to maintain it, continue to do all the work on it. So we'll make that case and we'll see what the Board of Finance has to say. and what the Board of Selectmen has to say about it.
Tara, you said this, I'm a bit new to the process here, the statutes, our own statute says it has to be the tax assessor, the chairman of the Board of Finance.
Right.
Who are the others?
Building official and the chair of the EDC.
And the chair of the EDC, and
Yeah.
it's those individuals meeting together to provide guidance.
They don't have to.
Well, they don't have to meet.
They don't have to do it together, it's them individually?
Yeah, individually.
Okay. So it's not the Board of, it's not the Board of Finance or the EDC itself, it's the chairman's.
Yeah, I think the intent was for them to share it with their boards and have a discussion.
Okay.
But I think the statute left it up to the chairmans to do that.
Okay.
I
And
don't
they
know
have
why they did it that way, but
45 days from receipt of the, I'm assuming it's from this letter. I'm not sure, Tom, if it starts over again. The original contract was signed by them in September, and then it came to my office in I wanna say
November 27th, yeah.
yep. We can ask the town attorney if we have to start all over.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the ordinance.
Let him look at that. We want to do this according to the rules.
Yeah, to
Um,
me, this was a document signed on 11/27, so.
Yeah,
There's still errors in the contract that's attached
Okay.
in this packet as well. It says 2020 on it for some reason, which
yeah, okay.
that's when I guess the initial request came through.
So we've had a lot of discussion on this, and I believe there is a motion before the Board of Selectmen to table this, pending further gathering of information, right? These two items?
I think that's still fair, because we still need to act on C on setting a new date, but we ought to do that after the Board of Finance
Right.
meets and deliberates, and on D, we're gonna send it out to the people to get the input, so we
Right.
can have their input before we act on it.
Right, we don't have a
And
choice.
I don't think we have a choice on that.
So we agree that B, C, and D, that we should table
No, I
them
don't
at
know
this
about
point.
B, I think C
Oh, no,
and
B
D.
is, B we don't have to.
B,
right.
I think we ought to proceed on, but C
Yeah.
and D, I think we ought to table those.
Yeah,
Who made
Okay.
the motion? Because I'm not sure the motion was to table C and D. I think it might have been B.
Cynthia, what did you write down?
There was not, there was.
I don't think there was a motion, I think you said, you talked, I don't think you actually made the motion.
no, I think you're right.
I actually don't think you made the motion.
I didn't
think
make
it's,
the motion.
I think we need to make that motion.
Now we're at a point of clarity.
Okay, so on B, steep grant for town hall, I will make the motion that the selectmen approve the request to the Board of Finance to appropriate from the CNR Capital Non-Recurring Fund balance up to and not exceeding $100,000, and to approve the scheduling of special town meeting on 1/8/24 for the approval of the entire expenditure of $589,000, of which $489,000 will be reimbursed by the steep grant from the state of Connecticut, and forward that to the Board of Finance for approval, review and approval of the same. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I have a question about it, but I.
Yeah, any further discussion, questions?
So I guess the question on the steep grant, this is another one you all made a motion in your November meeting. Did that go to the Board of Finance and get declined or tabled?
I don't know.
It was tabled.
It was tabled.
Okay, so again, here's one
Oh,
where.
this may be already sitting.
If it's, we've made the motion, again, we only have a date to set, right?
Yeah.
After they approve it, so, I'm not sure the motion.
I think you're right. I don't think we should be making that motion if it's already gone.
We do need a town meeting, but if we're gonna have a town meeting for phase 7, we should be careful and try to
Doing them at the same
piggyback.
time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I will rescind my motion, because I think you're right, Bob, and make a motion that we schedule a special town meeting on 1/8/24, with the understanding that hopefully the Board of Finance will take this up in time for us to have that approval and a town meeting.
Well, if we're at the point where we want to set that date, we should be able to set the date on the lots of streets
Yeah.
at 7, so.
Okay.
And it would be a very different motion, but,
So the 8th is the same day as the Board of Selectmen meeting?
So,
you do it before the Board of Selectmen meeting? Is
yeah,
that the
we
thought?
do it 6:30, 6:45. They usually do one at 6:30, do one at 6:45 if we wanted to.
For a town meeting though, Steve?
for a town meeting?
No, we've done town meetings here before.
But
Have
not in
everybody
15
come.
not in 15 minutes.
We had done them in 3 or 4 minutes, actually.
I know,
But we can make it
Have a lot of
6 and
pickleballers.
6:30, right?
I'm gonna be out of town,
So I would make okay, so I've rescinded my motion. So I then would make a motion that we hold a special town meeting on the steep grant for the pickleball courts at Town Hall on 1/8/24 at 6 p.m. before the Board of Selectmen meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
I'm sorry. Should we say pending approval from the Board of Finance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it's pending approval of the Board of Finance. So I will amend my motion to say
Well, that's
pending.
automatic because the charter wouldn't allow the
Okay,
town.
so we
to
don't
move
need
Yeah,
it.
then we
forward
don't need it, yeah.
Without approval from the.
Because we'd have to cancel it if they don't
I
approve.
just think for clarity in the minutes, it would make it
I
much clearer.
agree.
So I would agree with your amendment to add pending
Right, right,
Board of Finance approval.
Okay.
I agree with your point as well, but I just think for clarity, it would be better.
yep, yep, okay. So we have a motion. Did I get a second?
I think I seconded it.
Yeah, you seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, were you and I?
Aye.
Yes, okay, so 3-0.
Make the same motion on lot 7.
Okay, for the Lot Sip Streetscape Phase 7, I would make a motion that we schedule a special town meeting on 1/8/24 at 6:30 p.m. before the Board of Selectmen meeting of the 8th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Again, that's pending
Pending Board of Finance approval.
Board of Finance approval.
Second.
Bob seconds. Any further discussion on that? No? All those in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
And make a motion to table D.
And I make a motion to table 731 Federal Road because we're pending the review by the Board of Finance, the Economic Development Tax Assessor, and Planning Commission's
And building
chairs. Okay. Consent agenda.
You need to
You
make
need
a
a
motion.
motion
You
and
need a motion, a second, and a vote.
Oh, and a motion to table that. I make a motion to table that?
Yes, and I need a vote.
So moved.
Item D, do I have a second?
Second.
Bob seconds. Item D. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. So that's tabled, okay. Consent agenda. Selectmen approval for routine matters. We have I'll list them. We'll do this as a group. Selectmen approval for routine matters, which is the 2023 Tree City USA annual application to recertify Brookfield as a Tree City member. The Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of 11/6. The driveway bond releases for 3 Flax Hill, 10 Tower Road, 20 Cherokee Drive, 2 Falls Drive, 74 Long Meadow, 24 Hopbrook Road, 9 Deerfield, and excavation bonds for 19 Deer Run Road. Resignations of employees is Justin Hamilton, who is a driver with Public Works, and Michael Felizardo, driver for Public Works, and new hires of Robert Mazza, driver for Public Works, and Zach Lutz, driver for Public Works. That's all of them. I make a motion, we approve that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, all approved. We don't have any appointments this month, and therefore I make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.